to Eternal Rambles, where the Eternals ramble eternally. My name's Aaron.
I'm Kodig.
And I'm Ryan.
And today we're going to be talking about a hot topic. Well, maybe it's a little less hot and maybe more lukewarm because of current events. But it's still one that is near and dear to our hearts. We're still very passionate about this. We liked this stuff before it even came out. We were into it before it became popular. The MCU, or Marvel Cinematic Universe, if for some reason you don't know what MCU means.
If you don't know what MCU means, where have you been living?
Well, actually, there are people who just, the movies came out so frequently and they're all so connected that they just, I can't keep up, so I'm just not going to watch them anymore.
Yeah.
People like, doctors and other stuff like that. People with actual lives.
People who don't just sit around watching TV like us all day.
Now, we don't know the exact format this podcast is going to take, where if we talk about every movie individually or a more broader topic. We don't know. We're going to play it by ear.
See what happens?
I think we start off with I think what we should do, we should start off with the
general
first
thoughts,
phase.
General thoughts, and then move on. Oh, break it up into
phases.
Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3?
Phase 4, yeah.
Phase 4 hasn't come out yet.
Because Far From Home
is the first movie of Phase 4, which means that's the only movie we could talk about there. If it would be kind of redundant to talk about it.
Yeah.
And Ryan has already been confrontational. We just started recording.
I see how it is. Okay, but I think
not being confrontational.
We can go into a conversation that we were having earlier before the podcast started about, the starting of the MCU and Iron Man and how it wasn't. It was a good movie, and it was a great movie to start off the MCU with.
It was probably the best foot forward they could have had to start off an expanded universe like this.
But the thing about it is it by itself is really, it's a kind of average movie.
It's a little, like I said, I rank it around a 7 out of 10. It's a little better
at
than
the least.
No, 7 out of 10.
8.
It's a little above average, but it's not like a grand movie. Like watching Iron Man by itself. It's
fun.
It's a fun movie. It's very much in line with Tony Stark's character.
It's got a great character-driven points.
But it is held back in some aspects by a lackluster third act and a couple other small issues here and there throughout the thing. Now, it is charming going back to watch that movie with current context in mind, like when Tony could barely fly and had to build his suits it took a long time, whereas now he just has a chest piece that just spreads out nanotech all over his body. It's kind of fun to see him,
the progression
mess up and have to tinker, because you don't really see Tony tinker in later phases. After Phase 2, Tony pretty much it feels like Tony knows everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. After Phase 2, Tony is basically the pinnacle of human technology.
He's basically the scientist supreme of this universe.
Essentially.
Now,
I think one of the directors basically pointed out in, I think it was, and my brain had a brain fart.
Evacuating all passengers on train of thought.
With the things that I'm hearing on my headphones, that sounded exactly like an actual robot. No, I think when it comes to me, the whole first, Phase 1, while he's thinking about that, all of Phase 1 really was just a bunch of, average movies, like Iron Man. None of them were super.
I
actually like the Incredible Hulk.
Movie. I do too. We're the only movie made by Universal. I kind of like it.
It's still a 7 out of 10 in my book. Maybe a 6.5.
I would say 6, closer to 6.
But and then you have the third Iron Man 2, which is garbage.
Iron Man 2 has an unfortunate rep because it's coming off of Iron Man 1.
And I don't like.
If you watch the movie again, because here's actually one of the things that people need to realize is how many years has it been since a lot of people have seen these movies? Actually.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's been a while. So I implore anyone listening to this podcast, if you got Disney Plus, or if you happen to buy the Blu-rays or DVDs back when they were being released,
watch these movies
again. Get a fresh perspective on it. Because like I said, it's kind of charming watching Phase 1 after having seen Endgame. It's really interesting to see these characters in their earliest and purest forms.
One of my favorite movies to go back and watch after having watched Endgame from Phase 1 is actually Thor. The original Thor.
I
like the original Thor movie.
4 out of 10.
I also like the original
4 out of 10. So much wasted potential.
I give it a 7 out of 10.
No.
I give that a 7 out of 10.
No.
I liked it.
Okay. I like aspects of it. Overall, I think the movie's 4 out of 10.
Now, let's say like this, like, because like my personal rankings, you know, Iron Man, where to talk about.
So Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, and Thor, Captain America, and Avengers.
Captain America, I give a definite 9 out of 10. I just love Captain America that much, and
it's just a huge bias Cody has.
It's a bit of a bias.
I would give it a 9 out of 10, except for that. Unfortunately, the part where he's doing the ad campaign.
Okay, I actually really Ryan and his family, they just hate cheese. They hate campy hokiness, and that's basically all that scene is. It's about like Captain America selling himself as a mascot to the war effort. So you have Captain Steve Rogers, the super soldier, the guy who just wants to help, parading around. But I think that scene is incredibly important because it exemplifies Steve's frustration. If we didn't have that montage of Steve dancing around like the monkey he was, then the scene where he actually goes to that Hydra base by himself and frees every single prisoner and walks back to camp, that scene's less impactful. Because basically it's showing that nobody had faith in Steve. Nobody. The only one who believed in Steve
was Bucky.
No, was Peggy. At that point in the story, the only person who believed in Steve was either dead, presumed to be dead, or Peggy.
Yeah.
So it's like you said that you thought I was meant for more than this. Did you believe that? Every word. Then you have to let me go. I can do better than that. And basically convinces Howard to fly them over enemy territory. Which, by the way, big cojones, Howard Stark.
Howard Stark has balls of steel.
Flying over Hydra territory in a plane that he probably stole.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he might have his own plane. I doubt he flew his own plane over enemy territory.
He probably stole, but he probably built the plane. Like, let's be fair.
Can't touch Stark. He's rich. Plus, he's the country's main weapons contractor. You are neither.
But like, and then it goes to Thor, which I give a 7 out of 10. But Avengers.
I think Avengers kind of shooting back to Captain America a little bit because I do have something more to say about it. The first part of that movie is a very in-depth character study about Captain America and Iron Man. Start off very similar, in my opinion. They're very in-depth character analyses of these two, which is important because Steve and Tony are the main characters of the MCU throughout the entirety of the movies. So it's important to have their first movies sell you on every aspect of their characters.
Those movies had a huge and very tough job of giving you a very clear, very good idea of who these characters are.
And it's one of the reasons why I rank Thor 1 so low. Thor, in his first movie, is nothing like he is by Endgame.
Yeah.
And the reason is, the initial character they had planned for Thor wasn't resonating with audiences. And I understand why. I think the goal they were going for was more in line with the Thor character in the comics. This warrior who spent most of his life in combat and he's very powerful, but he has to learn. Basically, the whole point of the first movie is to teach Thor humility. Which it does. My issue is we don't spend enough time on it, in my opinion. We spend too much time on the human characters that don't matter.
I will agree with you. Daisy fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
Every time she's entered a scene, it's just, can I strangle this woman? Can I strangle this woman? Can I strangle this woman? I want to reach through the damn television and strangle this woman.
Like, his relationship with Jane, I wish it was handled better. I wish it meant something. They just didn't handle it very well. His relationship with Eric, I like, because it comes back later in other movies, more dramatically than Jane's. Darcy can be cut from these movies entirely, and you wouldn't miss anything.
I think when it comes to, like, the first phase, in general, like, the first phase of the movies, the first Avengers movie being the huge event that it was.
Oh, Avengers!
One second, let me finish my Let me finish talking.
No.
Let me finish talking.
No.
No, Avengers being the giant, like, milestone that it was, despite all that, like, a lot of people just, like, kind of, like, glare over or just, like, don't really think about. The first, like, hour of that movie is, like, really boring, which I understand because it's setting everything up.
I don't want to say the first hour is boring.
At least the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, the beginning of the movie is strangely terrible.
Yeah.
Like, the very beginning of that movie is bad.
And, like, it's all worth it come the end of the movie, which is just amazing, especially for the time. Because
like, the movie really doesn't
like it at that point.
The movie really doesn't pick up until the scene in Germany where Loki's going to the party.
Yeah.
That's when the movie really picks up and starts getting good.
Well,
there are scenes before that are nice. Like, I like Steve and Bruce's interaction on the helicarrier.
No, this
like
is
how
much
he's just standing and fidgeting around, thinking like he's like if he touches anything, he's gonna explode.
yeah, well,
And Steve, goes up to him and it's like, yeah. So you're Dr. Banner. I hear you can help us find the cube. Is that the only word that you heard? Only word I care about. It's like, so this must be pretty strange for you, actually. This is kind of familiar. So I like that. It's like, is this a submarine? So they want me in a pressurized tube underwater?
In a submerged, pressurized metal container.
Oh no, this is much worse. Which I do agree with him. In the submarine, yeah, if he hulks out and everyone in the submarine is dead. If he hulks out in a helicarrier, everyone in the helicarrier and everyone beneath the helicarrier is dead. Like, there are a lot of really good character interactions in the movie. It's one of the reasons why that movie is so good, is because it's actually, if you look at it from, like, a film analysis standpoint, it's not a very good movie. Most of the dialogue is pretty cheesy. The overall plot is a little, yeah. But it's these character interactions that really sell you on it. It's what we care about.
Yeah,
exactly. It's one of the reasons why we care about Marvel to begin with.
It's the characters.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, that's one of the things about that movie is you're not really there for the action and the fighting and the battle. And,
yes, you are.
Will they defeat Loki? You're there for these characters.
You're not there for the will they defeat Loki, but you are there for the battle and the fighting. I mean, come on. You have Thor and Hulk.
Literally my favorite...
have Thor and Hulk throw down in the helicarrier. Come on.
My favorite scene in that movie is whenever Cap shows up, tells the cop what to do, and he's like, "Why should I listen to you?" And then he proceeds
takes out 3 Chitauri.
And then he's just like, immediately starts
relaying Cap's orders.
Yeah, and a spangly spandex outfit, too.
Also, I do like this, how...
Which mysteriously vanishes.
I'm curious on something. Did Man of Steel come out before Avengers? So Man of Steel came out a year after Avengers. But in Avengers, in the finale, you can see they make a concerted effort to save and minimize damage.
Yeah, because
literally he says Cap, all right, Cap, break it down. And basically, he says the first thing that he says is Tony, we need to isolate them. We need to keep them here. Anything that gets more than 4 blocks out, you either turn it around or you turn it to ash. So we need to save as many people as we can. Man of Steel came out a year later, annihilates the entire city. So it's funny when you think about it from a perspective. You would think that maybe Man of Steel came out first. They saw the damage of that climax, like, in Avengers, we need to make sure that we don't do this. No.
Avengers came out first.
The writers of Avengers knew, it's like, these characters, especially Cap, it's like, I'm not going to let innocent people get hurt in this fight.
People.
So as we're in Marvel, from the very beginning, we were like, we need to minimize casualties. We need to contain the area. It took DC, like, 3 movies to actually care.
Yeah. It took Schneider 3 movies to get that through his head that these are supposed to be heroes.
They need to save people. They need to care.
Not just fight villains.
And while the MCU characters aren't wholly in line with their comic book counterparts, they're similar enough to be recognizable, but different enough to fix some of the issues their characters had in the comics. All except for Black Widow, because she really doesn't, in my opinion, I only really like her in, like, 2 movies. And that's Captain America: Winter Soldier and Endgame, because that's when she feels like the most like a character.
Speaking of Winter Soldier, that is my.
Well, we're gonna get to Winter Soldier, but I did want to bring up that point that while Black Widow, she's in a couple of these movies. She's in Iron Man 2 and she's in Avengers.
Iron Man 2, I think she was just kind of fan service at that point.
No, they needed a reliable and clear way to introduce, because they needed to introduce Hawkeye and Black Widow before Avengers, but they weren't going to get their own movies. So, like, okay, so in Iron Man 2, we'll introduce Black Widow, and in Thor, we'll introduce Hawkeye, just so the audience has an idea of who these people are.
I love how they introduced him in Thor.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even.
I love how they introduce him. I hate that it doesn't go anywhere after that. Like, I know Coulson needs to be, like, the go-between, because otherwise, it makes his death and Avengers matter more. Spoiler alert! It makes his death matter.
Spoiler alert! You need for to care. An 8-year-old movie.
You need to care about Coulson, but unlike Black Widow, which is throughout the entirety of Iron Man 2, she's there pretty much the entire movie. Hawkeye's there for one scene, and that's it. God. And then for Avengers, he spends most of the movie possessed, so you don't really care about Hawkeye until Avengers 2, which I'm grateful for. But it's still a marking against the movies where, like, one of your main characters for Avengers. Two of your main characters for Avengers, you know basically nothing about.
Yeah.
How one of those characters, it should be like that. You should not know much about Black Widow. Black Widow should always kind of be a bit weird.
It's not that you shouldn't know about Black Widow. It should be painfully obvious that you don't know who she really is. Like, I like her in Iron Man 2 because she's playing the spy. She's like, I'm undercover, I'm a secretary, and then Tony finds out she's a spy and is like, I'm surprised you can keep from drooling on your own spit. It's like, I can't understand you. You're an enigma. You're a quadruple agent. How do you do this?
Yeah.
It's like, can you even speak Latin? Like, that was really good. I like her in that. And then, of course, in Avengers, like, I like that one scene of her talking to Bruce in that one country whose name I don't know. Because it doesn't really matter. It's just some other country. And she has that conversation with him about, it's just you and me. And Bruce is like, all right. There's like, I assume the whole place is surrounded. It's like, no, just you and me. Wanted to have a talk. It's like, so when did you find me? Whatever lost you, Doctor? And we kept our distance. In fact, we've kept some other people who were interested in off your trail. And then, of course, he goes, stop lying to me! And she grabs the gun from the table, and, like, that look of pure terror in her eyes. Like she's like, I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die.
And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. That was rude. I just wanted to see what you would do. So, why don't you put the gun away so the other guy doesn't make a mess? It's like, we're all good here. And then you see, like, a giant squad of dudes armed to the teeth, like, back up. It's like, just you and me. Like, I like that scene. It's a really good character interaction. I like that. It's like, so Natasha has good scenes in Avengers, but Hawkeye got jaffed in the first movie. So, like, well, like I said, Black Widow has good scenes in Avengers. Like I said, the only movies I really like her in are Winter Soldier and Endgame, because I can actually see her character for what it is.
I like Hawkeye in all the movies.
Hawkeye's a great character. He's so cool in the comics. I wish he did more. Where's my Hawkeye movie? Well, it's a little late now, because the actor's just a little too old, in my opinion. Not to, like, he can't act anymore. It's just, if they were going to make a movie about him, it would need to be a prequel movie about him, before the Avengers, which, can't really do.
Unless they make a movie about the in-between.
Well, I think from what we see with Black Widow is it takes...
They could make a Ronin movie, is basically what I'm saying.
I don't know if they should, though.
I'm saying they could.
They could,
but they shouldn't.
They really shouldn't, because this isn't Hawkeye.
I like that just being a mysterious, shadowy past that he has in Endgame. That he went out.
I spent 5 years living in darkness,
people in the world,
getting revenge.
I like that just being a shadowy past.
Yeah, we don't need to see those events. It's very plainly obvious what Hawkeye spent his time doing, from what Rhodey says about that Mexican cartel they found, and then the scene with the Yakuza. Yeah. We see exactly how Hawkeye's been spending his past 5 years.
Yeah,
we don't need to see those events.
Leave that as a shadowy black past.
The only event I might want to see is how Hawkeye and Black Widow met. That's the only kind of event I would want to see in a movie standpoint, where I got on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s radar in a bad way. Agent Barton was sent to kill me. He made a different call. I would want to see that. I would want to see that event. The problem is, I feel like the actor who plays Hawkeye, I know his name, I just can't draw.
Jeremy Renner.
I think he's just a little too old at this point to play a Hawkeye that young.
I don't know.
Whereas Scarlett Johansson is a woman, and therefore it's a lot easier for her to play a younger version of herself.
I don't know, with the things that the Marvel Universe has done to, like, make characters look younger.
It doesn't look good, though.
It can.
It doesn't look good.
It can. Have you seen the new Mandalorian? How they made Luke look young again?
No, I haven't.
Well, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, but how long is he in the scene? It's not going to be a 2-hour movie. That effect will become super uncanny valley after
use a different actor.
It has to be sparing. You could do that, I guess, but then I would want them to use a different actor for Black Widow.
Well, they would, of course.
Yeah, but I two scenes I want to see. I want to see, like you said, I want to see how he met Widow,
because that's the interesting. That's probably the most interesting and important thing that we would need to see, because it would also help their scene in Endgame.
I would also like to see the old-timer training the new recruits. I know they're bringing in new characters for Phase 4.
Yeah, because they have to.
I would like to see Hawkeye training the new recruits.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
I'm probably gonna say that,
but it's probably not.
It's probably not gonna happen because
probably not gonna happen.
He's like, I'm with my family now. Sorry, guys. I'm done.
I kind of want to see, because I know Cap is retired from being Cap. But I kind of want him I want to see him being the...
Pulling old man Logan.
Yeah. I want to see him be the,
Crotchety old badass?
Yeah, the guy that, leads
I can't see Captain America be crotchety. I can't imagine Captain America be
I want to see him
crotchety.
be the guy that they go to,
As the wise
to learn. Mentor. Yeah, the wise old mentor.
The Obi-Wan.
The problem I would have is I'd want him to play more of a role like Aunt May, where he's not an active player, he doesn't train anybody. Yeah. He's somebody that the characters come to when they need advice.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
if they make Cap an active player, there's more of a chance that we see Cap die.
And I don't want to see
the
Cap
mentor
die.
character. It's not that I don't want to see Cap die. It's
I don't want to see Cap die.
any way that they would kill him on screen probably wouldn't feel right after the events of Endgame. It's like, I'm done. Yeah. I'm so done. I went into the past and lived a life. I'm done.
Yeah, I went back into the past, found my old girlfriend, hooked up, had a life.
I'm done.
Now, the issue I have is I would love to see Tony's daughter, Morgan, play Ironheart, but the problem is the MCU would have to go that long, and it would have to be either that or a significant time jump, which they really can't do with characters like Tom Holland, because unfortunately the actor Tom Holland... He's very young face. It would be very hard. It's like, oh, we just jumped 10 years in the future.
No.
So I like the idea of Morgan being Ironheart for the next future movies. I don't think it's going to come to fruition.
Well, they're already I think the next couple of movies that they're planning, they're doing the Black Widow movie. They're doing
which Black Widow is actually a prequel to basically showing you the events of what she was doing, hiding out after the events of Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have Thor
as the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Something. No. Yeah, there's
Oh, they're doing Lady Thor.
Yeah.
A Lady Thor movie, which could be interesting.
With what's her face?
Natalie Portman.
I just don't think
she's going to be.
I am tentative.
That's my problem with that one. Is I don't think that one should be.
I'm okay with a.
It's like Thor.
I'm okay with a Lady Thor movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if Natalie Portman is the right actress for the role. She could surprise me.
She could surprise me. I could be genuinely surprised and actually enjoy.
But in the roles that I've seen Natalie Portman in, which mostly chalks up to Star Wars and Avengers, she has really. I've been really underwhelmed. She has not impressed me, which could entirely be the director's fault.
It could be the director's fault.
It could be nothing against her as an actress. It could just be that she wasn't directed well.
Yeah, because Natalie Portman's a great actress.
I haven't seen her enough to really make that call.
Everything I've seen her in has been underwhelming.
It always feels like she's holding something back from her performance. But we'll see. Anyway, back to Phase 1, which is the point of this podcast.
Well, it's what we started with at the very least.
Well, I don't want us to get
before we rambled off into
future movies that haven't even come out yet. Iron Man 1's a great starting point. It's the best foot forward they probably could have had. Like I said, the third act could have been better, but it was the best starting point they had. And then Incredible Hulk, I'm going to say it, I liked the Hulk's design in that movie better.
Oh my god, the Hulk's design in that movie was so superior to every other Gorilla Hulk that they made.
The only Hulk in the MCU that I really liked the design of was the one in Ragnarok.
I did not like the design at all.
I still prefer the one from the Incredible Hulk.
I like the one in the Avengers better than I do the one in Ragnarok because it just looked too
I thought it
fake.
looked. I thought it looked way more realistic.
I thought it looked way more
the one in
fake.
the one in Avengers. It just looks like balloon muscle. It looks like somebody in a muscle suit. It doesn't look like an actual person. And in Ragnarok, I felt like they did it a lot better. But like I said, I like the idea of the Incredible Hulk's design, where like he's grown so much his skin is basically transparent, so you can see the muscle fibers underneath his flesh. And he's not like, gorilla. He's built more like a linebacker. He's just like, I just got taller and more muscular, but I kept the general body shape.
Yeah, I like that way better.
Although I do like Mark Ruffalo better than I like Edward Norton.
Yeah, that is my big problem with that's why for me, instead of it being a 7 out of 10, it's more like a 5 out of 10. It's because whoever that actor was for the Incredible Hulk movie,
Edward Norton.
Did not feel like a Bruce Banner.
The problem with Edward Norton's performance in that movie is it's like every performance he has. It's a very muted performance, which in some is great. It can actually add to some element of interestingness. But the problem is, when you're dealing a Bruce Banner, there has to be a very clear difference between Bruce and the Hulk. And I don't feel like Edward Norton brought enough to the character to make that more clear.
Part of the trouble is that whereas in most of his movies, he has the entire movie to kind of be the quiet, muted actor playing this quiet, muted character, and then let the entire movie help you build into this character, he only has half of the movie. Because he spends the other half of the movie as the Hulk.
Well, I mean, at least I would say a quarter.
At least he's better than the 2003.
We're not talking about that.
CGI
that movie is garbage. We know it's garbage. That movie is so garbage that the director was like, I don't even want to make this movie. They maybe make it. I used to experiment. Also, I wish... I love the ending for the most part. I wish they had done more with the leader character, like Mr. Blue. Because he kind of just...
vanished?
Yeah, he doesn't come back in the MCU at all. Which I can understand why, but also it's...
Yeah, well, they set him up to come back into the MCU.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is they set him up to come back in the MCU.
As Abomination, right?
No, as the leader.
As the leader of that.
I'm not talking about Abomination. No, I thought Abomination was fine in that movie.
No. Yeah, Abomination.
Yeah, it was Abomination.
No, I'm talking about Mr. Blue, what he would become.
The leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the problem, is he just vanished. Like, they set him up to be...
Every character in that movie just vanished, except the Hulk.
Yeah, well, actually, Ross comes back.
Well, yeah, but that's because they...
But, Betty vanishes, which is one of the reasons...
Which is kind of stupid.
Which is one of the major reasons why the Black Widow, Hulk, Bruce romance in Avengers 2 bothers me.
Because,
Bruce had a love interest!
And then she just
vanished.
Which you can't just say... Oh, that character doesn't exist because her dad's still there. And
also, Betty, if you read any of the comics, Betty waits for Bruce. She waits for him to come to the realization that she doesn't care. She will face the world with him.
Yeah, the problem is that the actress who played Betty asked for way too much money. And the MCU was like, no.
Counter argument.
Especially
hire a new Betty.
No, counter argument. The exact same thing happened with Edward Norton, and they had Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, just hire a new Betty.
Honestly, I didn't think that the actress who did Betty did a very good job anyway. So
the thing is, I would
have been perfectly okay.
I can't really see Hulk or Bruce Banner getting with anybody besides Betty Ross.
And it's one of the reasons why I don't like the Black Widow romance with Hulk. I know we're getting into Phase 2 here, but this is important. We don't.
Phase 3, but yeah.
No, it's Phase 2. Avengers 2 is
Phase 2.
Phase 2. I can't get behind the romance because I don't know anything about Natasha.
Yeah.
Neither
does Bruce.
We know plenty.
I don't know anything about Natasha.
No, I said
Bruce knows
nothing about Natasha either.
Okay. She's very flirty. Honestly, I like her and Captain America together because they had that entire movie to be companions. It's
in Winter
do you trust me do you trust me to save your life? I would now.
Exactly.
They have that whole movie, and I don't think they were necessarily going for I think they planted the seed if they wanted to end up going that way.
I just think they should have gone that way.
It would have been. I like in this movie how he ended up with Peggy. I like how in the series because it seems more like a good bookend. to... Now, it does kind of screw up Avengers of Tomorrow, but... Oh, well. Whatever.
What?
Because in Avengers Tomorrow, it's Captain America, and Black Widow's son basically becomes the new Captain America.
Yeah.
Well, it's not happening. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like they left it there as an option if they wanted to.
Speaking of the new Captain America, I mean, I'm personally fine with them choosing Falcon.
No.
If they would have set up Falcon more for that role, because like they hinted so much at Bucky becoming the new Captain America.
Did they?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
Nope.
Yes, they did.
This is something that I'm gonna put a pin in this. We're gonna come back to this in Phase 3, because Falcon's not even in Phase 1.
And I will show you all the evidence.
So we'll get back to that. So
I'll show you after.
So teaser for later podcasts. We'll go back to Phase 1. Yeah, I don't like Natasha. Is like that you don't get enough about her in Phase 1. That you don't know anything really about her other than that she's a spy and she lies a lot.
Yeah,
I think during the Phase 1, like. If we're specifically talking about Phase 1, because I didn't realize that until just now.
Apparently we are.
I told you we were talking about Phase 1.
Anyways, but specifically going...
So, like, if they wanted to replace Betty, the actress...
Nobody. Oh! I thought
I would have been totally fine with that. Because they replaced Bruce.
Yeah, they replaced Bruce.
So...
and Bruce is way more important than Betty.
Plus, it would give us another...
I think that's why they didn't.
They'd give us...
They replaced Bruce because Bruce is a founding member of the Avengers. But then they were like, do we want to replace Betty?
Yeah, but don't give him another romance then.
I would have liked it if they had brought in Betty, because it would have shown another intelligent... Because what if this happens? Eric Solvik gets taken.
Yeah.
And that's to get at Thor. What if Loki had taken Betty as well? And the reason he took Betty was because she's probably the person behind Bruce who knows the most about gamma radiation.
And she's also one of the few people in the entire world that can calm the Hulk down. Yes,
so we take
Thor down.
So we take that away. Like there are places for Betty to be in these movies that make sense and adds to the ratcheting to the tension.
It would just make way more sense for Betty Ross because, like, I just don't.
And we still have that tension whenever Ross comes back to the movies. If Betty is still part of it and on Bruce's side,
I'm not even kidding you. I remember seeing Avengers 2 in theaters the day it came out, and I was so confused. I was like, "What? What is this? Where did this come from?" Whenever the whole Natasha and Bruce thing came up, I was like, where did this come from?
I didn't have that issue because I wasn't as invested in Hulk in the comics.
I am super invested in Hulk.
It still just felt I'm not invested in Hulk or in Black Widow. It just still felt weird to me.
I love the Hulk.
And I was invested in Betty and Bruce because of the lackluster performance of those two actors in the first movie. They had no chemistry.
Yeah.
So I did not feel like they were in a relationship.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was not as bothered as you two were about
and going back,
I didn't feel like these people were together.
Going back to the Hulk movie, like the movie itself, The Incredible Hulk. I know this is gonna sound a bit like weird, but I think I really liked not only the look, but the sound a lot better of the Hulk in that movie. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but like I think one of my favorite scenes in the entire first phase comes from that movie, and it's like, well, not scenes, but like clip. Like it's a very short clip of when Hulk gets, or at the end of the movie, whenever he yells Hulk smash for the first time. The voice, the sound, the aggression, the anger.
It sounds a lot more in line with the Hulk in my mind.
And it's just like, it was just like I can't even, like, it's like Hulk.
One of the things I really, really liked is because in that movie, you got to see moments of Hulk being calm.
Human. Exactly.
Being human, being curious, being concerned. The whole scene after he saves Betty's life and jumps off into the mountains and it's raining and he just puts Betty down and he just sees him and he's just kind of staring at her. And then, she wakes up, freaks out, slaps him in the face. He goes, hits his head on the top of the roof and goes, and like you see him make a concerted effort to calm down and not get angry at her. And then she gets up and's curious, and she kind of looks at him, and she's kind of curious. And then the thunder happens, and Hulk goes like, he freaks out because he doesn't know what it is. So he so he starts roaring and chunking rocks and like putting his hand in front of Betty. And so you see this, and she sits down and is like, "It's okay, it's just the rain. It's okay." You get those moments where it's like you see Hulk be a person. And
Hulk should be this. It's an entire personality.
The only time
it's
you ever
not just an angry big rah monster. Hulk has a personality.
And the only time you get to see Hulk really have a personality is in Ragnarok, where they make him Baby Man, which is funny. Don't get me wrong. I like Friends Stay. Like
I don't
like
it.
That's. I thought it was funny. I thought it was
great.
But I would have liked it more.
My two least favorite portrayals of the Hulk ever in anything that I've ever seen or read is Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Endgame. I hated the Hulk in both of those movies.
I hated the Hulk.
Now here's the thing.
Because it wasn't Hulk.
This is coming from someone that is a huge Hulk fan. Hulk is probably my second favorite Marvel superhero.
Spider-Man.
Just after Captain America.
Spider-Man.
I hated the Hulk in those two portrayals, especially in Endgame.
Yeah, that was really shitty. We're gonna get more into this in Phase 3.
I'm sorry, but I know we're talking about Phase 1, but it's just I know
you can't really talk about these movies phase by phase without branching into the others. So we're gonna pull back. So we're gonna get into a whole rant whenever we talk about the Phase 3. But for right now, like I said, Incredible Hulk. I liked Hulk in that movie. I like Hulk a lot.
The Incredible Hulk is actually my second favorite movie in Phase 1, if you don't include the Avengers.
Every scene with Hulk in it, I enjoy, because it shows you his power, his ferocity, and his gentle, and because what is Hulk's main concern? Leave me alone. So when he's left alone,
he's a chill dude.
He's calm. He's like, I'm alone. Because the only time you ever see Hulk do anything, barring Thor Ragnarok, when Hulk comes down, he turns into Bruce. Or he doesn't do anything. He just stands there.
Yeah, no, and that is one big thing that I kind of missed. I missed the tea scenes. Where you would have the Hulk, and he would have his rage moment, and then he would stumble upon a little girl's tea party, and just have a tea party with her.
Yeah.
That was a thing that happened in the comics.
Hulk is his own character. They are two people basically sharing a body who despise one another but are constantly reminded that they need one another to survive. That is Bruce's story. It's a Jekyll and Hyde story, but one based in it's us against the world. We're the only people we can rely on. Now, while we have friends, like we have Betty, we have Ricky, and a couple other people here and there, at the end of the day, they have to rely on one another.
But yeah, and they hate each other. I miss that.
Because the only time you ever see Bruce and Hulk talk to one another is in Infinity War, really. And it's not well done in that movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The actor playing Blonsky, unfortunately...
Blonsky?
The Abomination.
Oh.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's got a serious case of dad bod, though, for trying to play a super soldier.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a guy who's been in the military for years. I have all this training, all these confirmed kills. And you see him without a shirt on, and you're like... And you can't tell me they couldn't have done something about that. Because we see Chris Evans, who's like... put his head on tiny, thin skeleton man body. We have the technology. Then again, it was Universal, and they probably weren't as concerned about that. But like good actor, I like the actor. Eat a sandwich.
Nothing solid.
Nothing against him, and it's one of the weird things. Like Hulk actually has some of the more interesting villains in the MCU, in my opinion.
He does,
and we don't get to see any of them.
You don't get to see.
You saw Abomination once, and it was briefly.
And I liked how they very much established that Blonsky loved the power. Like, he sees Hulk as basically a god, and he wants to attain that power for himself. And once he has it, he wants to prove that he's better than Hulk. He's like, I am you, but stronger and better. And then the movie ends, and
I kind of wish we could have gotten, like, if they ever would have went that route, I kind of wish we could have gotten the Red Hulk.
That would have been interesting.
Because, like, you still have Ross.
Yeah, he's still there. Perspective.
I just kind of, I would have loved to have seen the Red Hulk.
Like we could have gotten Red Hulk, but like there are villains. I really enjoyed villains from Hulk. They never
didn't see any of them.
We didn't see any of them. And this is a big problem the MCU has, is basically most of their villains, once the movie's over, they're either dead or don't matter anymore.
Yeah,
like the only one that comes back really is Loki and Red Skull.
Because Loki's smart enough to not
die,
get killed immediately.
Even then, Red Skull doesn't even come back as a villain.
No, but he still comes back, which I think is interesting.
And Red Skull got eternally punished and damned by the
Soul Stone,
the Space Stone, the Soul Stone.
But I like it's interesting that they bring back these characters. The characters that don't die, they get brought back in some way, except for Hulk's villains, which would have been interesting.
Yeah, but
now, obviously, I don't necessarily want Loki to go for a whole, like, Masters of Evil scenario where he collects the, like, he didn't want to, like, oh, I'll get Blonsky and he'll fight Hulk for me. I didn't want necessarily that, per se. But, like, there's still something he could have done. Like,
yeah.
I would prefer the anti-hero Loki over supervillainous Loki.
It's all about the needs of the story, basically.
Yeah. Anti-hero Loki worked out better for the MCU.
I think they had a plan, and then when they realized they wanted to use Thanos, that the original plan they had been working toward got changed.
You know, you want to hear a quick story about, like, the first Avengers movie?
Sure.
Real fast? Okay, so before I went to go see the first Avengers movie in theaters, a buddy of mine went there and was telling me about how, like, that scene with Hulk throwing Loki
Puny
around.
God.
Yeah. And
best scene.
I literally went to go see it. I wanted to see that specific scene. I went to go use the restroom. The second that scene was coming on, I come back and my brother tells me, "Hey, you missed that scene." And I was like, "You're fucking kidding me."
Oh man.
You're serious. You're serious?
Over years of training, I no longer take bathroom breaks during movies. Even 3-hour movies like Endgame, I did not leave.
I did not take a bathroom break during that movie because I was just too excited.
I think we're actually getting to the point where movies are getting long enough that intermissions might be necessary.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
You poor man. How... That was
I know, I was so fucking disappointed. Yeah, I had to wait till it came out on DVD to see that scene.
The first time I saw that scene in theaters, the entire theater about died laughing.
Yeah.
It was so hilarious. Because it comes out of fucking left end. It's like, oh, yeah, Loki's gonna do this whole monologue, then Hulk just picks him up, beats the shit out of him some, looks at him, and then beats the shit out of him some more, looks at him, throws him down, puny god, and walks off.
Yeah, it's a really great scene. I love it. Avengers has a lot of really good, funny scenes like that.
Oh.
Yeah, it has a lot of really good scenes. It's
yeah.
just, yeah. I want to talk about Iron Man 2, because we kind of really skimmed over it.
Well, because I don't care about Iron Man 2.
Yeah, well, shush.
There are problems with the movie. It's not perfect. I would rank it below Iron Man 1. But it's not the worst movie in Phase 1.
No.
I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. It is the one I rank the lowest out of all of Phase 1. Do I think it's the worst movie in the MCU? No. It is the lowest ranking that I find in Phase 1.
If I had to pick a movie to be the worst in Phase 1, it would be Thor.
No, I disagree. Honestly, I like Thor.
I would agree. It would be Thor. Mostly just purely because of Darcy. Darcy pisses the crap out, pisses me off.
I don't like
Every
Whiplash.
time she freaking opened her damn
Yeah, that is the problem. Is like the biggest weakness of that movie is the main villain.
I like Justin Hammer. in that movie. He's
no,
great.
he's such a skeevy. Like he's the villain that's not supposed to be intimidating. He's supposed to be smarmy, and it's like, oh, I can't wait for the hero
and I love him
to slap your every.
I
inch
think
of your
he is a great
chrome-related
villain,
shit.
and they should have just stuck with Justin Hammer. Leave Whiplash out of it.
No,
Justin Hammer
no,
was
that's
good.
the problem.
No,
they
they
needed
needed-
somebody who was actually threatening. They needed Hammer to be a financer, to basically a more
Yeah, but
more
why
imposing threat.
Whiplash? And why are you just making him another Iron Man, but with electricity?
Yeah, that was a problem that I had.
They literally just made him
unfortunately,
another Iron Man.
the actor they had for Whiplash is a good ass actor.
He is.
It's just
Just not Whiplash. Just don't use Whiplash.
Iron Man honestly is one of those heroes that has too many villains and not all of them are good.
Oh, most of them aren't good. He has like one good villain.
Two
good villains.
He has a few.
He has a couple, but I understand where people
They
were
needed-
like, why that Whiplash? Well, the thing is,
They needed
Whiplash
somebody who
didn't need
tied
to
into Tony's backstory and was intelligent enough
to make
to challenge Tony.
comparable suit.
Yeah.
Something that could come to.
I know, but
I don't think he needed an Iron Man
I don't like
suit.
the
I thought he
copycats.
needed an anti-Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
needed
like
suit.
copycat villains, and I'm sick and tired of copycat.
You don't like
villains
copycat villains?
most of the time.
When they're done well,
They can
I
be
like
done.
them.
They can be done well. I'm tired of it, and even at that time, I was like,
The evil version of the hero trope.
yeah, it was like we had just seen this.
You
with
realize
the first
that
Iron Man movie.
you realize that Justin Hammer is a copycat villain.
Yeah, but like it's totally
The difference
different
is it's
personalities.
basically
The
all
difference
of Tony's arrogance without the charisma and the care for others.
exactly.
I think he had courage.
I think
he had great
like
charisma.
my main thing
I
was
loved
Justin-
every time Justin Hammer was in the scene, he was great.
No. He did not have Tony Stark charisma. Anytime
have the Tony Stark
anytime
charisma.
they were put next to one another, he floundered. You would want to have, like, if you were going for a true copycat villain, you'd have somebody as intelligent as Tony, and somebody who could trade wits with Tony.
Yeah.
Justin Hammer, he's a copycat villain, but he's very this is Tony,
but not as good.
but if he had one clear personality change. And they wanted you to dislike Justin, so they didn't make him quite as snarky or as witty as Tony is, because they wanted you to have more of a reason to, I hate this bastard.
Exactly. Now, even at the time, it was like we had just we only had 2 movies at this point for Marvel, and
Yeah,
that
I
was
love
another
the fact
Iron Man
that
movie
Whiplash
and the
decided-
Hulk, which got erased.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? For one, I don't think Iron Man 2 should have been in the first phase, anyways. I don't think it should have been there. I think it should have been
they
either a little bit
needed
later.
a branching point.
I do think they need Iron Man 2 in the first phase, and here's why. Tony Stark at the end of Iron Man 1 is not ready for a team up. He is not at that point where you can see him actually being in a team and making that work. Because by the end of Iron Man 1, everyone Tony has ever trusted has betrayed him.
Okay, then put it later. Don't make it the third movie. Because, like I said, at this point, we had only had 2 other movies.
It should have been later.
I think his placement is fine. Because you have Iron Man 1, Hulk, Iron Man 2. And one of the reasons that's important is Tony shows up at the end of Hulk. He's basically talking to Ross about
he's
the Avengers.
now the consultant.
2. We need Tony to have that branching effect if he needs to be able to trust people again. 3. You needed more time with Coulson. Which, yes, Coulson is in Thor, but
he's not
you
in
needed
Iron Man.
Yeah, because in Iron Man 3, they basically explain Coulson moving to New Mexico. Because why would Coulson be stationed in New York? Los Angeles? Miami. Yeah, that's where he's in Miami. I think he's in Miami. Whatever. Wherever Tony is, to suddenly being in New Mexico. So basically, Iron Man 2 works as a staging ground for the other movies. So it does need to be where it is. And I like the point of it. Tony's like, the entire point of that Tony is he's dying.
Tony is dying.
He knows he's dying.
It is Tony having a self-destruct issue Because
it is
to turn his life around, the minute he decided to be a better person, his own stuff is starting to kill him now.
The very device that kept him alive is killing him. And you see Tony, one, he's like, how much of my life can I enjoy while I still have it? And how much time do I have to make sure that everyone I care about is taken care of after I'm gone? I'm giving Rhodey the Iron Man suit so he can be the new Iron Man. I'm making Pepper the CEO of Stark Industries. One, so she's taken care of, and two, that way I have someone I know
and trust to running my company.
So
to carry on.
Let me just piss my suit right quick and try to fight my best friend.
He was drunk. He was hecking
He
drunk.
should have been drunk in the suit.
First of all,
I know that's a lot. Literally, that's a lot to ask of Tony.
Literally, it's like in the scene before that. If in the scene before that, he's like, "Hey, quick, weird, morbid question. If this was the last birthday you were gonna have, what would you do?" "I'd do whatever the hell I wanted, with whoever the hell I wanted."
Yeah.
Would that be all, Mr. Stark? He's like, "All right, I'm going to have my last birthday. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want." So yeah, he put on the Iron Man suit and partied. Got blackout drunk. He shot his house. He blew up a watermelon because he peed in the suit. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
This is how this works.
Because it was his last birthday ever, so he wanted it to be his last birthday ever.
And he was like, "Look, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in a freaking splash. This is gonna go down history as the worst birthday ever, and everyone was there. It was a mess.
Who doesn't want Iron Man?
Everyone's going to remember this.
Who doesn't want Iron Man at their birthday party?
I mean, I want Iron Man. That reminds me of that scene. Yeah. It's like if you can get Iron Man to swing at my niece's birthday party.
Not just a flyby. He's got to mingle.
He's got to say hello. He's got to sign a picture.
But yeah, I think that's something that I think a lot of people missed about Iron Man 2 is that is a self-destruct movie. The reason Tony is acting the way he is because Tony is self-destructing.
I mean,
they even bring up at the end of that movie his like self-destructive tendencies. I was dying.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, that last scene of that movie is actually explaining why Tony the way he was, and it's like, I'm okay now. Everything's okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that it was terrible. I mean, I still don't think it was the best. I still think it was the worst in Phase 1. I'm not gonna say it was terrible, but I can't ever bring myself to finish that movie because I just find it so boring.
Thor is way more boring.
I don't find Thor boring.
I find Thor the worst because there's, like I said, Darcy. She's a terrible character, and also there's so much wasted potential. The reason I rank up Iron Man 2 is because there's really that one scene there are multiple scenes that I like, but there's one really good scene, and Ryan's going to agree with me on this. When Rhodey goes downstairs to give Tony a talking to and sees Tony. It just sees him. He's sweating. He's like, he can barely walk. Rhodey has to give him the
shit moment. When Rhodey realizes, my friend is dying.
It's not that he's like, something is wrong.
Something is terribly, terribly wrong with my best friend, and I didn't notice.
It's like,
okay,
what are you looking at? I'm looking at you. You're trying to do this whole lone gunslinger thing, and it's unnecessary. It's like, look, contrary to popular belief, I do actually know what I'm doing. Which Tony did. He did know what he was doing. It was just, he didn't let anybody else know the circumstance. Yeah. I'm dying. I'm going to make everything I can. I'm making preparations for my death while also enjoying myself in the interim. He just didn't tell anybody. It's like, I was going to make you an omelet and tell you.
I think, I can agree, in Iron Man 2, I think had a lot of really good interactions between Rhodey and Tony. Because, Rhodey, I do like Rhodey. I like Rhodey a lot. I like his character in a lot of the movies that he's in. The problem is he's just really not very well portrayed.
Portrayed?
Yeah, portrayed. Because,
yeah, very well
they don't really give him enough time.
We need to portray him more.
He's very well betrayed.
They don't really.
The weakest part of the movie, the villain. Not Hammer, but Whiplash.
That's the biggest problem.
I loved the
It's the same with Iron Man 3. The biggest problem in that movie is the villain.
I'm still upset about the Mandarin twist, but we'll get into that in Phase 2.
But
I think the biggest problem with every Iron Man movie so far has been the villain.
Well, they've always been the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Except for Obadiah. It was only in the third act where he fell short. Everything up to that point, I was
actually kind of shocked, to be honest,
when it turned out Obadiah was the villain.
Yeah, because
because he spends the first two.
We got to keep in mind, I was a little kid.
Iron Man came out in 2008,
Yeah,
so I was
also
not expecting that
too. But he was just this. He was a happy uncle. He was an awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome, great
like your father and me. No more of this ready, fire, aim business. That was Dad's line. You gotta work with me. It's like showing he cares, and you get that scene at the party, which actually Ryan's gonna talk about this, because he saw a video about this. But that scene sets up everything about Tony, and it's a key part of his arc.
Yeah. There's a scene in Iron Man 1, the first movie. If we ever do a review of these movies, I'm going to pause
the show. We are doing reviews of all the Marvel movies.
Probably.
Point this out seriously. But there's a point in the movie when Iron Man goes to a gala. And
it's like this,
until this moment, you see Tony getting handed things. Back and forth, up and down, no problems. And then during this scene, after he's getting the olives, he's getting this drink for his girlfriend, what's her face?
The news reporter.
Hands him the photos.
Of Gulmira, the village where Yin Sid was from.
Being destroyed by his own weapons, and
he sees the Jericho missile, the thing that he refused.
That he just freaking made and refused to give to the terrorists. And then he has a whole argument with Obadiah Stane where he finds out that Obadiah Stane is the one that betrayed him. And he's the one selling the missiles and weaponry to the terrorists. He's the one doing all of these horrible shit to him in his name.
The person he trusted most in the world.
The person he trusted most in the world, the person who practically raised him, betrayed him. And from that point onward, there is nothing to sign. There are no art gala. There is no opening. There is nothing to sign. There is the next mission and nothing else. And from that point onward, Tony does not like getting handed things.
Like, he thought it was weird how in Iron Man 2 he just kind of was like, oh, I don't like being handed things. It didn't come out of nowhere.
It started in Iron Man 1, in that one scene, where he gets handed the worst news of his life and learns of the worst betrayal of his life. And then he goes home and listens to a news report about all these horrific things being done
because of his weapons.
With his name plastered on it.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
that's pretty deep.
I didn't approve of any shipment. Well, your company did. Well, I'm not my company. It's like Iron Man. Like, that's one of the reasons why I say Iron Man is a good 7 out of 10. It only falls short in the final act of the movie.
Final act of the movie, which I will agree.
For one, Obadiah, where do you think you're going after this?
Yeah,
like you're going to kill Tony and then Pepper and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and you think you're going to be fine?
And you think you're just going to be running Stark Industries?
Honestly, if they just had one conversation where it was just like, Obadiah, what do you think is with you? I don't care. My life is ruined. I'm just going to kill you.
Or if they'd pulled back a little bit.
They either pulled back a little bit.
No, I mean, from what you mean for the response, like from S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, what if it wasn't like 5 agents? What if it was just Coulson? Or if Obadiah's like, okay, Coulson hasn't called back. It's like, I'll humor you. I'll go with you and investigate. If we had that, it would explain why he would have been willing to get in the suit, murder them, because then there's no proof, no evidence, no trail.
Yeah, so if either was that, or if there was a scene where Tony was like, give up now, where do you think you're going to go? And Stane just says, I don't care, I just want to kill you.
It's like, yeah. It's over, Stane. There's nothing you can do. They have evidence against you. They know. It's like, yeah, Tony, I really don't give a damn anymore.
I really don't care. I know that it's over. I just want to kill you.
I must say, I'm deeply enjoying the suit. Like, if they had framed it just a little bit differently, it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because he literally starts trying to kill people in the street. Put him down. Collateral damage, Tony. It's this is going to get you arrested. Like, if they had cut that scene on the highway, where he wasn't using literal innocent people as ammunition, that would have made more sense.
That would have made more sense.
You know what I think would have been interesting?
What?
Huh.
If they had rammed into a supply depot of Stark Industries.
That would have been fascinating for them to be hitting each other with supply weaponry.
Yeah.
Like
Basically have Tony, like, improvising, like, yeah, Tony's on, like, 5% power, but we're in my house now.
All of his random stuff.
I still like the twist effective. He wins, quote unquote, by just, he's like, it's over, Tony, my suit's better in every way. How'd you solve the icing problem? Icing problem? Better think about it. Because one of those things, like, that's the only, I wish that it actually won, because it would have been one of the only times where Tony won by outsmarting his opponent. The only other person in the MCU that's done that is Doctor Strange. Where I won, not by beating you, but by outthinking you. I wish that had won. I wish that had been the end of it. Because then it would have been all the more interesting to Tony. Because, like, the only reason Tony figured that out was he's like, this is a bad idea. I'm gonna do it anyway. So he looked for problems to have to then solve those problems. It's like, what's the current height record? All right. Records are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
As he did that, got the ice problem.
problem.
I need to fix that, so I'll fix that by adding gold titanium alloy from a space station to help with that.
Yeah. Our satellites use this alloy that is resistant. Is really cold resistant. Let's use that.
So it showed that Tony was just simply smarter, and it would have leaned in more to, like I said, if Whiplash and Iron Man 2 hadn't rated an Iron Man suit, but an anti-Iron Man suit. Like, had a way where it basically, his whips allowed him to have enough range to safely deal with Tony's weaponry, and up close, Whiplash had the advantage.
Yeah.
And that way, Tony has to get more creative with how he defeats the villain. I think it's funny how, like, because that's Tony's greatest strength, is his ingenuity.
I think it's funny how, like, Phase 1 has a lot of, like, the worst third acts.
The ERJB problem?
In the MCU. But, like, it also has the greatest ending scene in the MCU.
I am Iron Man. I had a date. It's like these really great scenes.
Yeah.
Like, cause like that first, like,
that said, I'm kind of okay with. Sorry, Cody, to cut you off.
That's fine.
But that said, I'm kind of okay with an Iron Man 1 that didn't entirely solve the solution, because then you had that rooftop scene. And it comes up again in Avengers, where when Captain America's like, "You're not the one who'd sit on the bomb, and let's lay on the wire, let somebody else crawl over you." And then you have the Tony being, "Bitch, I did that."
That's why I'm saying I wish it had ended there, because it would have made that line more potent.
Yeah.
Because that way Tony hadn't already done it before. It's like proved that Tony is a selfish bastard. It's like you're not the one to lay on the wire, let the other guy crawl over you. If you cut that scene where Tony was like, "Hit the button. I'm going to sacrifice myself to stop staying to save you." If they had cut that scene, that whatever the scene in Avengers would have been a lot more impactful. Mm-hmm. It would show he's like, oh, Tony does care, and he cares more than just about himself and Pepper. He cares about the general well-being of others.
Yeah, like whenever he takes the nuclear missile.
Because up to that point, we've only ever seen Tony get really emotional about people connected to him. Yin Sid, Pepper, Rhodey. In Avengers, it's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself to save the people of New York. And let's not forget, at that point, he didn't really like the other Avengers.
Yeah.
So that's literally him. I'm going to sacrifice myself to save thousands of people.
Let's go for some shawarma.
You guys ever had shawarma?
Yeah, we're done. I guess let's not go in.
And shawarma after? Please tell me nobody kissed me.
Let's not go in.
I like how we're just over here passed out. They think he's dead, and then Hulk just screams in his face.
Jesus. Please tell me nobody kissed me.
Yay, hooray, we won.
Cap's over here just like...
Because you realize the issue of this situation, right? They couldn't give him CPR. Everyone present... Tony was in the suit, and everyone present had super strength. There was nobody to give him CPR.
Yeah, it's just...
right through the chest.
Yeah,
popped like a water balloon.
I feel like Cap would have the restraint and training to be able to give him CPR.
I don't know. He's still high on adrenaline at that point.
He's still high on adrenaline.
Yeah.
He's still coming off.
But I feel like he'd have the training to be able to do that.
I don't know if he would have. Remember, they were trained in World War II.
He was trained in World War.
They still
Which
had
means
CPR in World War II.
Yes, but even if it was, it would have been an
Medics.
inferior version of CPR than it is today.
Like
How much
Aaron said,
more superior can you get than 15?
Well, number one,
we've mathed that out, dude.
number one, we don't breathe into their mouths anymore. Number two, we have told everybody to set beat.
we still breathe into our mouths.
Staying alive. No,
I just took a CPR class 2 months ago. Yes, you still do breathe into the mouth.
they don't teach that anymore.
Yes, I just took a CPR class 2 months ago.
Okay, for those of you interesting, we live in Texas, and it's actually an interesting fact that in Texas, it's state law mandated that every high school graduate in Texas
Learn
be CPR certified. So when I got certified, when I graduated high school, they said, we don't do the mouth breathe thing anymore.
Well, whenever I got CPR certified 2 months ago, you still do the mouth thing.
Well, that's okay. It's fine. We know you're stupid.
What? That's no.
One of the reasons why they tell not to do the mouth thing anymore is because there's a very good way that you transmit germs that way. And also, yeah, while they're trying to introduce oxygen in any way that they can, it's very inefficient. Because if they're not breathing, period, that air is not going anywhere. It's basically worthless. All you're doing is stopping time where you should be making their heart pump.
That's what the AED is for.
Like, remember, in hospitals, if you watch, when they're performing CPR, they're not breathing in their mouths. They're pumping their heart because they're manually pumping their heart to try to get it to start on its own again. Because then breathing into it, if they're not breathing at all, that's not, all you're doing is blowing air into their mouths. But we're getting off topic.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're getting a little off topic.
But, and also, even if it wasn't coming away, CPR. One, it would be an inferior version of CPR. Two, not all World War II soldiers.
Wait, Black Widow and Hawkeye.
They weren't there. They weren't standing there.
Yeah, they were
Oh,
elsewhere.
okay.
Remember, Hawkeye was on top of a roof.
Yeah, remember.
And
Widow
Widow had just closed the
No,
portal.
Hawkeye was not on top of a roof.
Yeah, no.
He had collapsed. He had jumped down off the roof because he ran out of arrows. Remember?
Well, then he wasn't where they were, and
I mean, he might not have been where they were. But
and
he wasn't on
Widow
the roof.
just closed the portal. So yeah, no, they weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hawkeye
Widow
was
was
in
on
a
a
building.
roof.
Hawkeye was in a building. Widow was in the tower.
Widow was on a balcony.
But one. But point about Captain America not entirely knowing CPR. One, it would be an inferior version of CPR than if anything else. Two, not every soldier in World War II was CPR trained.
Yeah,
In
but
fact,
this is
most
Captain
of them
America.
weren't.
This is Captain America.
Yes, but CPR is not going to help with stuff like mustard gas or disintegration from hydro weapons.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking
It's
about.
the reason why most soldiers weren't taught CPR, because a lot of the time CPR only really helps in certain instances, and they would
CPR
want their
works.
soldiers shooting and not going.
Yeah, and during World War II, people died.
These are people got mowed down by the hundreds to gain 2 feet of.
That was
land.
World War One, not World War Two.
Not D-Day.
D-Day on specifically
People got
D-Day. But like, it's World War One that was really the whole gaining of foot.
No,
We
the things
went
that
to
World War
hit
II was still trench
strongholds.
warfare.
No, it wasn't.
Nope. That
No,
was
it was
World War
not.
Was it? Oh, I
World War
apologize
II
then.
was not trench
I'm
warfare.
incorrect
World War II was bunker warfare.
then. Okay.
Yeah, it
People
was not. It was
died.
not losing 100 to gain a foot. It was.
Losing
you could
hundreds
still-
of thousands for
You would still lose.
island maybe 2 miles long.
You would still lose a lot of people over.
Basically, it was you were sending men to die to either hold points or gain a few. It wasn't
Yeah.
really a.
Yeah.
There wasn't really just like. World War One was just literally wasting lives because you would not gain ground. There was no gaining ground in World War One.
Especially whenever the invention of the Gatling gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just a few of those holds points better than 1,000 men.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Cap, like it's possible Cap knew CPR, but like you said, it had to be an outdated version. And also, he has a problem of Cap is adrenaline fueled, and also Tony is still in that suit. And while
No one could get him out of that suit.
Well-
except maybe
Thor
Hulk and Thor.
and Hulk could have, but the problem is it would have been ripping and pulling, and that's sharp
would
metal
not be
and
good on his body.
explosives.
that would not be good on
Also,
Tony's
let's
body.
not forget, his arc reactors hook up to that. Chances are they rip the chest plate off, they rip his chest off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is an innocuous. This really doesn't matter. It's still funny.
It's
scene.
innocuous goofiness that we're just nitpicking about.
Yeah, no, but Iron Man 2, it's like, so if I had to rank it, worst is Thor.
Thor.
Then,
As much as I like it, I don't. It's the weakest.
then I would probably say Hulk.
Hulk.
Then Iron Man 2. Then Cap. Then
Yeah.
Iron Man. Then Avengers. And the
Are you
reason,
ranking it
and
by the ones that you like the most or the ones that you think are the best?
worst to best? Now, I say Iron Man beats out Cap on the sheer fact of Captain America kind of gets bogged down by the Red Skull stuff. While I like parts of it, it's the evil version of the hero trope, and while there are good scenes,
Well, all of World War II is the evil version of the hero trope.
yeah, but the problem is, like,
You're fighting
you know the
Nazis.
Howling Commandos, where they spend a bit of time with them?
Yeah.
You basically know nothing about them.
Which is kind of,
Iron Man 1, you know everybody.
you know everybody. I would have liked to have seen more interactions with the Howling.
I would have loved to have seen Logan in the Howling Commandos, because Logan is actually in Captain America's
Yeah.
Howling Commandos. That would have been friggin' amazing.
Yeah,
would've
but
been
they didn't
cool.
have the rights to
I know they
Logan,
didn't have the rights
which
to
it would have been great.
It would
Yeah.
have been great, but I would have liked to have seen more of the Howling Commandos. I would like to have, because there's like a whole like 10 or 30 minute thing where you just have a montage of them saving the day.
Which I love, actually.
Which I do. I love that as well. But could we have like a moment in between them where it's just the commandos hanging out in a bar somewhere?
We had
in
that
France,
scene.
Yeah, we had that scene.
talking to each
Hell,
other.
I'll always fight, but you gotta do one thing for me. What's that?
Open a tab.
Well, that was easy.
Not just the one where they brought all these commandos together, but where it's after a mission, they're relaxing, hanging out, drinking a few beers, maybe playing cards while waiting for the next one, talking about things. Like having it
the problem
with the commandos giving Steve relationship advice about Peggy.
Well, the problem with that is they spent more time focusing on the relationships that would matter later on, like the relationship with Peggy, the relationship with the General, his relationship with Howard.
Yeah.
The Commandos, and the relationship with Bucky, specifically.
Yeah.
Because those are relationships that honestly carried over and mattered.
You're
Like, yeah, he had the Howling Commandos, he had a group, but overall, they didn't matter in the long run.
Except
for in, Peggy Carter. the
Yeah,
TV
but that's a
show.
spin-off series and season in that.
but
Which is
here's-
great.
Here's the
I haven't
thing,
seen it.
though.
I love
If
it.
you had just one scene where they were just hanging out being a bunch of comrades,
Then it would have been a waste of a scene.
it would have made the fact that they're all dead more impactful. Because you would have felt Tony... Steve's... Not Tony. Yeah. Tony Stark was alive before his father married his mother. It would have made the fact that when Steve lost everyone and he was looking through the files...
That scene is already ruined by Peggy being alive.
Yeah, hey, that scene is ruined by the fact that Peggy is alive. Peggy should not be alive at this point. She should be dead. It's been fucking 90 years. This woman needs to die now. People do-
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the
World
fact that she was
War II
alive.
Veterans are no longer alive today. The fact for her to be one of the handful of people to have survived this
Thing
long,
is, that whole scene where at the end of the movie where Steve is running around and seeing the extinction of the world, that was all we needed. I had a date. I had a life. And just seeing the distinction of,
Yeah.
like, that's all we needed. We didn't need a scene with him and his comrades being all like, oh, we are friends. Friendly things that we
We
are.
are friends. Bop, ba, up.
Because, remember, in Thor they had those scenes. Where the guys are just sitting around
And
talking.
you don't give a shit about those
You don't care about
guys.
them. You don't care about the Warriors.
I cared about all the Warriors.
You don't care about the
Warriors.
Warriors. You care about the Warriors 3 because of your knowledge of other medium of Thor.
No,
Yeah, same.
I care about the Warriors 3 purely because of that movie. I have not really seen a whole lot of the Warriors 3.
I care about them mostly because of other media.
Yep. All right.
I
So,
care
like I
about
s-
them because I just found them fun, entertaining.
Yeah, so like I said, mine it's Thor, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Cap, Iron Man 1, and Avengers.
Avengers, yeah.
So that's,
do you agree?
That's worst to best?
Worst to best.
Yeah, for the most part.
All right.
If you want my worst best.
There are days when if I'm in a certain mood where I would swap Captain America and Iron Man 2 because I'm just that annoyed with one of them. But
My personal worst to best would be Iron Man 2, Iron Man,
Wow.
Thor.
what is wrong with you?
I like them all.
Wow.
I like all of them.
You're ranking Iron Man 1 beneath Thor? That's... Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly love
I
all of them.
agree with
Here's the
you
thing. I like
that-
all of them.
Okay, we'll let him finish his rankings, but I just find that really shocking.
Iron Man 2, Iron Man, Thor, Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Let's see what's else in
Captain
Phase
Avengers.
1. Captain Avengers. Avengers and Captain America. I just love... I'm a little biased for Captain America, so it's...
Yeah.
I love that movie.
That's interesting.
I'm not kidding you. Captain America... This is actually a little bit... Like I said, it's biased, but it's for a different reason. The Captain America movie is what got me into comic books. It's what got me into the MCU.
Oh, what got me into comic books was the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, because I saw that when I was like very young and was like, oh, this is awesome.
No, like,
it was what got me into Spider-Man.
I watched that-
which is funny because I don't really like the Sam Raimi movies anymore, but like that's what got me into Spider-Man and Marvel in general. So
Oh, that's a hot take right there.
I don't like them much anymore because in my opinion we have better versions of them.
Better versions of Peter Parker.
I still
I
like
love
them.
Willem Dafoe. I don't like Tobey Maguire.
I love Tobey Maguire.
I don't think he's a very good actor. Now,
I
granted,
think
I
he's a
haven't
great
seen Tobey
actor.
Maguire in much, but from what I've seen him in, I'm not a huge fan.
I think he's an amazing actor.
I don't remember.
But
who he
anyway,
is
that's my personal ranking.
Yeah, these are our personal rankings.
This is not like the end all be all. We are not the God Kings of all opinion.
Now, keep in mind, the only one of those that I actually do not like is Iron Man 2. Iron Man, I love.
Don't like Thor?
I just don't put it... I put it below everything else. I love Iron Man, the first movie. The first Iron Man movie. I love it. I just put it below everything else in Phase 1.
I love all of them.
I hate Thor.
I don't know why you people hate some of these movies.
I used to hate Iron Man 3 until I rewatched it a couple of years.
At my nagging.
And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? That's pretty good.
There is one other thing, but
Still not my favorite, but it's pretty good.
There is one other thing about Iron Man 2 that I feel like a lot of people forget about. Is
That it's garbage.
People don't forget that it's garbage.
There's a scene when Tony's building, trying to figure out what his father left for him.
Oh, yeah.
Like that whole part where Tony learns that his
when he's
father
watching
left things for him.
when he's watching the film reel.
People don't. For some reason, people have forgotten that scene is really important to Tony as a character. It is so important that in every single tribute I have seen on YouTube,
That scene's in it.
that scene is in it.
Yeah.
Because it is such a big part of who Tony is. And the fact that it's such a huge contribution to where he decided he wanted to go in, where he wanted to push himself towards, and
That it sets up that scene in Endgame when he's talking to his father.
And there was this strange moment when, if you actually listen to what Howard says about Tony, you realize that Howard was right. Howard knew his son better than Tony knew himself. He realized what Tony was going to be when he grew up. Just how grand of a potential his son had from the get-go.
Yep.
This faith in his son.
This child of destiny.
You could call it Destiny's Child.
DC.
I
ACDC. America Captain Destiny's Child.
built this for you.
All right.
Anyways,
I
think
am limited by the technology of
Yes,
my
we
day.
get it.
we
Ryan.
get it,
I
Ryan.
know, but it's so good.
Anyways, that's gonna about do us for today. We'll come back next week with Phase 2. You know, I think we'll just do this.
Just do these in a round.
Do these in a round. We'll come back next week with Phase 2. But
Bye.
until then, Give me a second, Ryan. Let me finish.
Okay.
Until then, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so that way you can know whenever we upload new videos.
Hit all
Let us know
buttons.
what other podcasts you want us to do. Like, put it down in the comments. Let us know in the comments.
We'll be sure to
say
not read
right
them.
there down in the comments
Or
what
we
other
will
kind
get-
of subjects you want us to talk about, and we'll take a look at it.
And if we
decide
know
what we're
anything
gonna do.
about them.
Exactly. Just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. I've been Kodig.
I have been Aaron.
And I'm Ryan.
Bye.
Crack it.